Hey everybody, welcome back to Gem Mint Collectibles. I'm back with another recent reads video. I just got finished reading Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four run. Man, what a ride. I loved every minute of it. We're going to talk about the books, and I'll jump into spoilers later, but I'll give you guys fair warning. So right now, it's non-spoilers, but we're going to have to because some crazy shit went down. First of all, you do not have to read Jonathan Hickman's Secret Warriors before reading this book. Nothing that happens in that book affects anything here or even really comes up. The only thing that comes up is the fact that Norman Osborn is the head of Hammer, and even that didn't really happen in Secret Warriors. That happened before that, like Dark Reign or something like that. So you don't need to read that prior. You do kind of want to read Annihilation and War of Kings before jumping into Volume 2, because it definitely talks about the Annihilation Wave and the negative zone and the state that Annihilus is in. So you could probably get along without it and just, put two and two together. But I think it would definitely be beneficial to have read that before jumping into Volume 2 here. Let's go ahead and take a look at Volume 1. I know I kind of already covered this in the Every Fantastic Four Omnibus, but just so you guys know, this collects Dark Reign, Fantastic Four 1 through 5, Fantastic Four 570 through 588, and FF 1 through 5, and some material from Dark Reign, the Cabal one-shot. So, as you heard, it's FF 1 through 5. So this does give us the introduction to the Future Foundation, which I enjoyed those books a lot. So it reads and looks like Secret Warriors with that kind of like half white cover and these little like black and white in between issues, and it's broken down into volumes. So the main plot of the first book, which the prelude is called Bridge. Basically, Reed Richards has this nagging want to create this bridge. And the bridge takes him to, other dimensions, right? So, I don't know if it's going to get into spoilers or not, man. Takes him to other dimensions, and they kind of tease at the end of one of the issues that there's other people that are waiting for him there, right? So we'll get back to that, right? So that's what he's doing. Now here's something that I thought was really cool about Norman Osborn's Avengers. So he's with symbiote Spider-Man, but it's really Matt Gargan as Venom, right? But I think that's so cool how he walks around like for the public, like regular Spider-Man. See him up there at the top? And then he gets pissed at Val and, lets his true colors be shown, right? So in this book, I'm not really sure what happens prior to this in the Fantastic Four world, but Franklin and Val, the Fantastic Four children, fucking awesome, man. Loved their arc. Their shit comes back around at the end of the book like crazy. Invisible Woman, they treated her so good. I thought she was really well written. The whole volume, the art is great. The writing is good. The characters have depth. The stakes are crazy high, which is almost like, it's always some kind of universe-ending shit. So here's the tease that he opens the bridge. Well, what happens is he goes on the bridge, and then Sue and the rest of the Fantastic Four get caught in these time conundrums or whatever. So when they all get out of it, she's like, hey, dismantle this shit. So he goes and builds it in the basement, and then he's messing with the bridge. And then he realizes that there's people that are there like, yo, we've been waiting for you, bro. So, am I going to get into spoilers or what? Alright, so that's the plot. In order for me to continue, there's going to have to be some spoilers. So if you haven't read Fantastic Four by Jonathan Hickman and you don't want to get spoiled, this might be the best time for you to check out, go read it, come back, and, you can hear what I thought about it and, comment what you thought about it. So, if you've ever seen the movie The One by Jet Li, that's basically what's going down. The people that are waiting for Reed Richards on the other side are all the other Reed Richards from other dimensions that have found their way using this bridge, and they create what's called a council. And if you notice, a bunch of them got Infinity Gauntlets. So I don't know where I've read this before, but the Infinity Gauntlet only works in the universe where it's from. So even though they have Infinity Gauntlets, when they're in this kind of like... I don't know if you want to call it a pocket dimension. They don't work in there. So it's not like they're crazy. But basically, the council has been together for a minute. You got a Human Torch Reed. You got a Fat Reed. You got a Thing Reed. You know, every kind of Reed. It's like The One. From the Jet Li, The One, mixed with a little bit of Time Cop. Anyway, they take down together universal threats. Here they're fighting a Galactus, and there's multiple Silver Surfers. Because the whole point of the councils and what drives Reed to create the bridge is that he wants to solve everything. That's like the theme in these books. How do I solve everything? I'm like, damn, bro, get you a Rubik's Cube and chill out. So anyway, what happens next? So he's with the council. Everything's going good. But then who knocks on the door? Celestials. Now, Celestials, I've always been intrigued by them since I was a kid. With my Marvel Universe Volume 3 trading cards that had the power levels on the back, and the Celestials card, it was like off the charts. So, you know, as a kid, we were always like, oh, the Celestials are the baddest ones. Yo, you can't fuck with them. Look, the Celestials kill some of the Reeds with the Infinity Gauntlets. And there's a story with Reed's dad in here. So Reed's dad leaves him as a kid. He's got to go do something important. And it ends up being that he was able to travel through the bridge first. And like The One, a great hunt occurred where, I forget who put them up to it, but basically they had to be survival of the fittest, and only one Nathan Richards, is that his name, Nathan? Only one Nathan Richards can stand, so, you know, they were killing each other until there was only two left. And he ends up coming back into his life. I know I'm skipping shit, but, you know, this is the gist of it. I ain't going to give you a play-by-play, you know? So anyway, so you have some father-son stuff. Now, the big thing with the council is that every Reed Richards who's on the council had to abandon their family and just devote their life to the council for the greater good, which on a universal scale is the right thing to do. But Reed is the only one that's like, I ain't really gonna leave my wife and kids like that. Sorry, whatever. So then they deal with love as the universe last mystery, and that's like a little kind of interstellar kind of a thing. Some of this story takes place in New World, and you have like Bruce Banner Jr. and New World was like a artificial Earth that was created to save billions of people from the future, from Galactus. They come back in time, and the council kills that Galactus, and the future Galactus remains are on Earth, and present Galactus finds out and he gets pissed. So we'll get to that because I think that's in Volume 2. Anyway, so you got a good family story there. This is Franklin's birthday. So he asks if Spider-Man can show up. So Spider-Man shows up. It's cool stuff. So Spider-Man's always had a good relationship with the Fantastic Four. Him and Johnny Storm have always been kind of buddy-buddy back in the days. And I don't know if I want to get to this yet. So you have Val, who's 3 years old, smartest person in the world. They're Reed Richards and Sue Richards' daughter. And Franklin, which is like a beyond an Omega level mutant. He's like the strongest mutant ever, but they're kids, right? So their future selves come back, and here's him. He's creating a little universe. So he creates a little universe under his blanket. He ends up storing it away in the closet, which becomes his pocket dimension. See, here's more of that Hickman kind of do that. And then here's Volume 2. So I feel like I'm going a million miles an hour here. So is not really important. Mole Man comes up in here. Some really good art though. So it ends up being a couple of different things that happens in Volume 1 where the High Evolutionary has a city underground that's messing with Mole Man's people, and the city gets razed. So then you have basically this battle between his city, the Inhumans city, and some other shit. I'll see if I remember it. So here's the remains of that future Galactus. Yeah, so here's like the city right when it raises from the ground. And basically, by going into that area, there's some radiation that makes you devolve. And what's funny is the Moloids, Mole Man's little slave alien-looking things, they devolve into what looks like humans. So, you know, they're trying to say that they're a higher level of species. So is this it, Atlantis? New Atlantis or some shit? Old Atlantis. Let me keep going because I kind of forget the first. I just got done reading the second volume. See, so yeah, reading this, I was like, yeah, maybe I should have included this in my Marvel Cosmic Omnibus because it definitely got cosmic as hell. Here's some of the art. Those aliens that you see are Inhumans from other worlds. So we know our Inhumans are from, you know, the moon or whatever. But these are the Universal Inhumans is what they're called. You got some horse chick. And what people that look like Yondu. Alright, that's not important. Then this gets into some negative zone stuff. So this is pretty nasty. So Johnny was taking this girl back to the house. She starts freaking out in front of the negative zone portal. And she's really like 5 bugs. Straight out of Men in Black. And then you come up with this whole negative zone thing. And there's this anti-priest trying to convert people that basically, in our universe, when you die, that's it. But in the negative zone, when you die, is you live because it's negative, right? That's confusing shit. Alright, so what happens here? Visible Woman's made the queen of old Atlantis through some technicalities. New World, time moves different, and they end up seeing Banner Jr. becomes the Maestro. We know the Maestro from Future Imperfect storyline. So why did they set up the Future Foundation? I forget what it was. It must be when the council disbanded and Reed realized that he made the right decision to be with his family, and then they set up the Future Foundation or something like that. Yeah, so there goes Banner Jr. as Maestro. Alright, what else do we need to talk about in this one? So Val looks at Dr. Doom as her uncle, and Val's always looking out for her. So I guess the thing with Val is she really can't be trusted. I mean, she's 3 years old, but she's the smartest human on the planet. It's not that she can't be trusted, but I don't know. There's like a weird relationship there. I don't know why she's into Doom like that. It must be from something before these books. But anyway, Doom is not really bad in this. He kind of helps save everybody, actually. Yeah, so one of the things about the council that we find out is that all of them were orphaned, basically, by their father that left to go explore on his own. So that was kind of a universal thing that kind of messed with all of them. So there's like a father-son strong kind of underlying story here. All right, what happens? There's a side story when Ben Grimm, the Future Foundation, make a serum that he can turn human for 1 week out of the year. So there's a little fun storyline there. This is when Galactus... Well, actually, Silver Surfer finds Galactus remains and straight snitches on your boy. And Galactus comes through like, yo. So Galactus, his whole thing is like, damn, I'm dead. So now we need to figure out how to prevent this from happening. So they actually go with Galactus back to, in his little orb of a ship, back to his huge-ass home, which is this thing. Some big-ass shit. So what else is worth talking about in this volume? Basically, some shit with New World. They gotta save everybody on New World because Galactus has to destroy that. I'm trying to see. This is the part where the big spoiler is. I mean, it's not really a big spoiler if you. So here's the deal. So they're all in the negative zone. Thing is human. They can't close the portal from the outside, so somebody's got to stay behind and close the portal because the vibranium shit or something got messed up. So Ben Grimm wants to do it, but he's human, so Johnny throws him out there, and then this is his scene, kind of like his goodbye through the glass, right? So Johnny's like, man, I ain't worried about y'all. Flame on. We got this. But then basically it shows Ben Grimm looking at him getting slaughtered. And Ben Grimm is crying, and then they show us Johnny Storm getting killed. So the Johnny Storm getting killed, then that's when you got 3. That's actually when I got back into comics. I remember going to the shop, looking for Amazing Spider-Man, and the issue was the issue with the Fantastic Four in the sky, and it was Spider-Man. I don't know, it was, you know what cover I'm talking about. And it was Spider-Man dealing with him being killed. I was like, damn, they killed Human Torch? Anyway, some powerful stuff. Look at Thing. They handle the death really good, and the impact that it has on everybody is huge, man. So they do a good job with that. Spider-Man consoling Franklin, because that's Franklin's Uncle Ben. So Spider-Man and Uncle Ben is crazy. And it's really deep, man. The stuff with Spider-Man and Franklin. Franklin feels like it's his fault that the Thing gets... I'm sorry. I said Uncle Ben. It's Uncle Johnny. I fucked up. Anyway, you know, Spider-Man's Uncle Ben. Franklin's Uncle Johnny. It's some sad-ass shit. So, here's the stuff with Spidey and him. What does he say? Can I tell you a secret, Spider-Man? I think I could have stopped Uncle Johnny from dying. And Spider-Man's basically like, hey, I can relate. You know what I mean? Because we all know the story of Spider-Man with his Uncle Ben. Okay, so that's when Future Foundation starts after that. Alright, so anyway. So, because Spider-Man was so tight with the Fantastic Four, with Johnny, with the kids, they ask him to be a part of the Future Foundation, and that's when they start wearing these new suits that Sue designs, and Spider-Man gets his suit that we know, which can actually change molecules and become like a different color. But there's like an inverted black and white one, and he could be his regular Spider-Man one. So the Spider-Man stuff is handled pretty well, man. Spider-Man kind of rolls with them from here on out. Here's where they Val pretty much invites Dr. Doom to try to help. I'm trying to remember the threat. I think the threat is the Celestials in that pocket dimension and all that they're going to get through. Yeah, here's actually Reed Richards looking at... Oh, that's not it. He's looking at all the threats that are happening and all the threat levels. So it's funny. So they call this meeting, right? And people that are typically villains, they bring everybody in. High Evolutionary, Dr. Doom, the Wizard, these AIM guys or whatever. So they're all sitting at this table. And then they turn around, and your boy is like right in there with him checking it out. So it's like, you know, some crazy shit's about to happen because the Watcher's like, hold up. Let me see what's going on here. Anyway. I think we can go to the second book now. Oh, here goes the inverted Spider-Man suit. All right, we can go to the second book. So, the craziest shit is the battle between Galactus and the Celestials. That shit is so crazy. I'm reading it like... Let me tell you what, these books, they were definitely a page-turner. Not like the Jedi text of old. This was a page-turner. I mean, I read both Omnibus fairly quick. You guys can probably know from one of my videos when I talked about, you know, when I was going to start it or right when I finished Secret Warriors. But this was a page-turner. I like this. The world's greatest comic magazine. That's what it used to say on the front. So, Johnny Storm is dead. There's a bunch of threats happening because there's a whole big thing with the Kree, with the Inhumans, aftermath from War of Kings. This is like a world mine of the Kree. And he's pissed off because he figures out that he dies in the future. It's kind of like Galactus' same plot, where he's trying to prevent it. The whole anomaly that causes his downfall is the Inhumans, and more specifically the creation of Black Bolt. So their whole thing is they got to destroy Black Bolt. Black Bolt had to wipe up all the Universal Inhumans queens. Medusa had to roll with it. All right, let's get to some good stuff. So, I do want to say that the main storyline ends about 3/4 through this book. So I've heard people say that the second omnibus falls off at the end, but it's not really that it falls off at the end. It's really just like the main story ends, and then there's some aftermath stuff. There's some side story stuff. There's some filler stuff. So it's all written by Hickman. So it's not saying that this is the whole saga. This is the whole Hickman run. So he happened to do some fluff, you know, after his main story was told. Probably just buying a few months or whatever. What's funny is that this guy, he ends up putting his consciousness into like, he ends up putting into Ronin's hammer, similar to the Power Stone in Guardians of the Galaxy 1. And anyway, he brings him back 300,000 years later, some shit, by combining two of the Reed Richards heads. It's some crazy shit. It's some full circle, Inception, Jet Li the One type of shit. So it turns out, comics, Johnny didn't die. He actually, he got captured. Oh, I missed some nasty shit. Right? You can't die in the negative zone. That's the whole thing that they were trying to set up. That when you die in the negative zone, you're brought back to life. So basically, they use these worms to kind of like stitch you together. It's nasty. He dies multiple times in some contest of champions type shit. You know, whatever. Maybe, can I find a cool panel of that? It might be hard to find. Anyway, bottom line is, he gets resurrected multiple times. He breaks out with a ragtag bunch of prisoners. He gets the cosmic rod from Annihilus, who is a very young Annihilus because he was killed in Annihilation, and now he's got him on a leash like a dog. And he's got some negative zone shit, looking like some Witchblade type shit on his arm, securing the cosmic rod. Whoever has the rod controls the Annihilation wave. So now Johnny is basically runs the negative zone, has the Annihilation wave as a Ghost Sick'em boy, and he uses that shit later on. So this kind of shows what happens. So I forget, they show him return, and then they go back and show you how he survived. And he survived by dying, which is some negative zone type shit, right? So let me see if I can find a panel. Here it is. Nasty, right? So that's the first time he was resurrected. Look at this. Nasty, right? You know, that was a little bit of a stretch, but hey, you're in the negative zone. It's different, right? here goes the people who they break out with. He basically comes up with a plan like, look, all we gotta do is knock the rod out of his hand and we're good. Cool, so whatever. So then he comes back. And they could open the gate now because he's in control of the wave. That's the whole reason why they had to close the gate to begin with, because they, you know, you can't have the annihilation wave come through, you know, and fuck shit up. Here's another Galactus origin. They tell Galactus's origin in some other book that basically he's the last survivor of the universe that came before ours. He comes through, he becomes Galactus. He's a force of nature. He's not a person, you know. You know, Franklin Richards, like I say, he has the ability to build. He's a creator. He can create universes, right? So he's almost like a god in that sense. But his sister Val is the smartest person in the world. He's the most creative person in the world. So together, there's a whole big thing with them coming back and fixing stuff and all that kind of shit. Anyway. So what else is worth talking about? I think the Celestials with Galactus. So they're fighting Celestials. No, that's not them. Hold up. This is when Thing is fucked up when Johnny dies. When he does this in the sky and lets him know that he's back, Ben Grimm sees it from the ground up and he's like, "Oh man, I'm about to go see what's up. My boy is back." So here's a reunion right there. But if you can't tell by my excitement, definitely was awesome. Here's him releasing the Annihilation Wave. It's actually the second Annihilation Wave. And he's sending it at somebody. Some enemy they're fighting. Anyway, the Annihilation Wave is on our side now. Basically, the whole thing with Nathaniel, is it Nathan or Nathaniel Richards? Reed Richards' dad has gone in the past hundreds and hundreds of times. It's always the same outcome. He's trying to figure out how to prevent the future that he knows is happening. And they're successful this time. I forget what actually made it successful. The fact that Reed chose his family this time. That they came back and they manipulated certain things. I don't know. It's hard to explain. I understood it when I read it. Put it that way. Alright, what else do we got here? Where the hell is the Galactus? As you can see, none of this has anything to do with Secret Warriors. There's some Celestial stuff. So basically, there's 27-minute battle that they have to get through. And in order to do that, they give it everything they got against the Celestials. They're still killing Reeds. Even this Reed with an ultimate nullifier and an infinity gauntlet. Doom goes in there, holds them off. And I think that was another Tide Turner, or whatever you want to call it. That he, see, him and Val have this, relationship. Anyway, he holds them off. And, this is them getting through the portal. It's pretty crazy. Anyway, he holds, the Celestials get through. But, there's a plan. That was all part of the plan. So here goes some of the crazy stuff. So here goes Galactus. So basically, it's a confusing fucking plot, right? So they tell Galactus to avoid your death and the remains you see there. We got to kill these Celestials. So he basically gives them a one-time, call me if you need me. They call him. The Celestials are there. And then they throw down. That's the first print, baby. That's the whale. So anyway, here's the fight. Or one of the panels from the fight. So Galactus fighting the Celestials is crazy. Oh, and I almost forgot what happens. So he kills one. Kills a Celestial. But he ends up getting overpowered. He gets killed or knocked down or something. Anyway, the craziest shit that happens is basically like Franklin, his future self, has been talking to young Franklin in the pocket dimension, building up some kind of power. This is when they come back. Like Doc Brown and Marty. And the power that young Franklin's been storing. See, this is how he is talking to him, future to past. So you don't really know who it is while you're reading it. Anyway, the craziest shit is that this power somehow goes into Galactus, and Galactus is Franklin's herald. You know how Galactus usually has a herald? Silver Surfer is usually his. He is Franklin's herald. So Franklin has his own Galactus. Shit is crazy as hell, man. It's on an epic ass scale. So let's see, is this happening yet? So this is where he comes through. So this is him. First of all, Franklin comes through from the future and just teleports all the Celestials into this like Jupiter type of gaseous planet, and they're stuck there for like 5 minutes. They don't know what's going on. Here's this orb of power that he has that he's like, yo, you've been saving it. You know what to do with it now. And Franklin's holding off the Celestials. Remember, he's the most powerful mutant ever. Way past Omega level mutant. So he's going up against them. So here's the orb of power going into the Galactus that just fell. This is not the future Galactus that's dead. It went into that Galactus. It says, rise to me, my Galactus. That was dope. I was like, yo. And it ends up being cool. Like, after the battle, Franklin's with Galactus. Galactus was like, I thought I was going to be alone until the end of the universe forever. But he's his herald now, so he's kind of like, he's like, nah, man, I got you. So it's him and Franklin. Cool ass shit right there. Yeah, this is them talking about it right now. So anyway, that's the gist of it in a nutshell. I mean, they defeat those Celestials from the alternate universe. The Council of Reeds is done. Future Foundation is going strong. Johnny's back. Johnny moves in with Peter for like a one issue, and it drives Peter crazy. It's like a little side story. So Doom, so the deal with Val was like, listen, you're gonna hold this shit off, but don't worry. When it's all said and done, I got a couple presents for you in this universe. So he gets dual Infinity Gauntlets. He gets dual Infinity Gauntlets, but remember, they only work in the universes that they were created in. He does go to one. He creates everything like God, and then he fucks it up and everything gets destroyed. He actually, there's an issue after this where he creates like God, everything. Then he makes two species in his own image. One made of science, one made of magic. They end up overthrowing him and splitting the Infinity Stones between them, 3 and 3. And damn, so there's this other side story that follows the Thing. So they keep going into the future to 5012 AD. They keep jumping 1,000 years in the future, reading his dad. And Thing, he doesn't really age. Well, he does. He only ages for the 1 week that he's human out of the year. He ends up dying in 6012 AD. Shit was kind of sad, man. It was kind of sad seeing Thing even, continuing without everybody. So it was a good scene when Reed Richards comes back from the future. He sits down next to Thing, who's watching boxing, and Thing's like, hey, you can't change the channel. That's the rule. He's like, nah, it's all right, leave it on. And he's like, don't you got some world-saving shit to do? And he's like, nah, I'm good. And he's kind of like, yeah, I miss you too, man. Like, sometimes you got to just enjoy the now. You know what I'm saying? Then this shows a future Reed story on how he became one of the Reeds on the council. The overall thing ends up really just being that Franklin and Val are the shit. That Val's not really evil or bad or anything, and that they need each other. She says Franklin's her favorite superhero. He has the creativity and the power to build. She has the power to build, but she has the brain, so she's smart. But they make a big thing about how being intelligent, you can't create anything just by being smart. You have to you have to have an imagination as well. There's this Wakanda shit. So this is all after the main story is over. Then they have like this Wakanda storyline it's okay, but after this epic scale, you're kind of like, who cares about this little crap, So that's basically it. I know this was a hell of a rambling. I'm trying not to forget anything and cram everything in there. Bottom line is, all you need to know, I definitely enjoyed Hickman's Fantastic Four. It definitely gets the Gem Mint seal of approval. I definitely don't recommend you going out to try to hunt that for Volume 1 unless you got the disposable income because it's expensive. But you can read it in trade paperbacks and other formats to get the story. I was gonna read Hickman's Avengers now, but I'm gonna actually take a break from Hickman, read this Dark Knight Metal run so that I can get caught up and we can do a live show about that. But I also have some other live shows planned too with some cool guests. I have a dude that buys collections, so we could pick his brain on that. Then I have a dude that manages a comic shop that's a good buddy of mine. I got a dude that's heavily into trading cards, which like nobody is, but I like them, and he's heavy into them. He gets them graded and shit. What else do I got? I got a couple cool people like that don't do YouTube, so it's gonna be some surprise guests and shit like that. Nobody famous or anything, but just people that are heavy into the community, Anyway, so that's the Hickman Fantastic Four. What else can I say that I haven't already said? Hit me in the comments with your thoughts. If anything you want to add, did I leave out something? Whatever. But thanks for checking out, man. Gem Mint Collectibles. Catch y'all next time. Peace.